Hello everyone, this is part 18 of What If Naruto Meets the Nine Tails Early, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. 5 a.m., a time when most of Konoha was still asleep or just starting to stir. Little did they know they were in for a rude awakening by various cries that could be heard all across the village. Garg. Kiba's cries of pain and torment were just beginning as Kurenai began his hell punishment for putting a certain Hyuga in the hospital with his recklessness. Yosh. The cries of youth shout bright this morning. Called out Guy from the other end of the village. Neji, Tenten. Hurry, we must kindle our flames of youth so that they may burn brightly. At the Hyuga compound, a few Hyuga watched as Neji reluctantly dragged himself out of the compound. For some reason, Guy had been pushing him even harder ever since Lee got the surgery. Perhaps it was to inspire Lee. Unfortunately, Neji only saw it as another was for his sensei to get under his skin. Guy-sensei, I will be there in just a minute too. Please wait for me, shouted Lee from the hospital as a crash followed by a flat line beep was heard from Lee accidentally disconnecting his heart monitor. Bed, now, shouted Tsunade, coming to Lee's attempted escape. By 5:10, the entire village had been awakened by the constant screaming from Kiba, Guy, and Lee. At least everyone except the Naris. For some reason, they were still asleep and the village was quickly becoming envious of them. By 6 o'clock in the morning, the village was already stirring and business was running as usual, all thanks to the wake-up call from a particular Inuzuka. Speaking of said Inuzuka, he had just finished up with the 50 laps around the village that Kurenai had assigned him to do and his legs felt like someone had taken the claws and shredded the muscles in his legs to pieces, 50 times over. Get up, Kurenai ordered Kiba, who was trying to catch his breath in the few seconds he had after completing the 50th lap. At this time, Neji and Tenten came running past Kiba. Poor puppy. Is that all you can take? Taunted Tenten. Neji, how many more laps do we have? I honestly lost count after 100 inches, replied Neji. Kiba couldn't believe it, 100 laps and they were barely breaking a sweat. What the hell has Guy been doing to his team? Kiba struggled to his feet, only for Kurenai to shove him back into the ground. I said, get up. She ordered. Kiba struggled to his feet again only for Kurenai to throw him back again. How can I get up if you won't let me? Demanded Kiba as he grew more irritated with each attempt. I don't know, why don't you ask Hinata? Oh wait, you didn't let her get away when there were a dozen kunai sailing towards her. Maybe I should strap one to the bottom of my boot and see how you like it. Kiba cringed and instantly bolted to his feet and moved away from Kurenai. He had never seen her like this and he was not willing to see just how far she would go. Good, now follow me. She ordered. Kiba groaned but did as he told. Why are we here? Asked Kiba as the two came to the edge of a place Kiba didn't want to see in a long time, the Forest of Deaths. But you can leave your shorts on, Kurenai ordered. What? Why should I do that and why the hell should I take my clothes off? Argued Kiba. Just do it, or would you rather I turn your punishment over to Hiashi? Said Kurenai. Kiba gulped. Despite the hell he was being put through with Kurenai, Hiashi was the last person he wanted to see. Ah, perfect timing, Anko. Kiba looked up to see another person he was really wishing he didn't see, Anko. And for some reason she was carrying a vest made completely out of raw steaks. Put this on, ordered Kurenai. Kiba just did as he was told. The feel of raw meat against his skin was weird and he was still trying to contemplate what Kurenai was doing at the Forest of Death. Wait, no, she can't mean to do that, thought Kiba as something came to mind. Looks like you figured it out, puppy, said Anko with a very evil grin on her face. I'm sorry to say, Kiba, that I will not be able to oversee your punishment anymore today. It would be unfair to Shino and Hinata if you took up all my time. However, I am leaving you in the very capable hands of Anko here, said Kurenai before she took off to go meet with the rest of her team. Anko was one of the few people he would have wanted to be left with. In truth, he would rather take Hiashi over Anko. While it was hell, he could handle Kurenai, but Anko, she was just pure insane. Alright puppy, you've got until 8 p.m. this evening. Get going, ordered Anko. What the hell am I supposed to do? Asked a confused Kiba. Why isn't it obvious? Asked Anko, getting a very dark and sinister look on her face. Survive? Inside the forest here, there are all kinds of beasts and creatures who will find you as a tasty little treat. You are to survive until 8 o'clock tonight. Oh, and I suggest you don't stop running. Anko threw Kiba into the forest before locking the gate on him. Before he knew it, there were countless sets of eyes staring at him from the forest, all of them with a lustful glare at him as they sized up the next meal. Kiba took off running, his legs still burning hotter than the sun as he began the fight for his very life. Anko couldn't help but laugh at the puppy's misfortune. Even though she was going to be stuck here all day, at least she had some form of entertainment and a bag full of dango. Yarg! Was heard all across the village. Ah! Music to my ears, said Kurama, taking in Kiba's screams of pure terror and agony. Kakashi had assembled his team for a training session that they were long due. It was a few weeks late, but Kakashi had finally got Sakura and Sasuke the next set of jutsu that he had promised them. Sasuke's was a lightning-style jutsu Enlid Raiten, Thunder Roar. This was a low B rank technique that could be used at mid-ranged. It sent a blast of electricity, shaped like a lion's head, at the target, giving them a severe shock and temporarily paralyzing them or worse. Sakura's was slightly different than a normal jutsu scroll. Kakashi had been taking notes and realized that Sakura was similar to his old teammate, Rin. Rin was a medical ninja and Kakashi could easily see that Sakura had the potential to become a top-grade medical ninja. All she needed was a push and he was hoping the book on basic medical ninjutsu would start to pique her interests in the field of medical ninjutsu. Hey Kakashi-sensei, I don't suppose it would be alright if I take off early, said Naruto. It was getting close to 5 o'clock and he was supposed to pick Hinata up in just over an hour. And why do you want to do that, Naruto? Got a hot date or something? Replied Kakashi, making an upside-down U with his one eye. Well, replied Naruto, turning a little red. If he was going to let Naruto go, at the very least, Kakashi would have some fun first. So who is she, Naruto? Asked Kakashi. Oh come on Kakashi-sensei, just let him go already. Tonight's important, said Sakura, trying to help Naruto. The sooner she could solidify Naruto and Hinata's relationship, the sooner she could work on herself and Sasuke. After all, she wouldn't have a certain blonde teammate constantly asking her out anymore. The Dobe has a date, thought Sasuke, slightly surprised. Yeah Kakashi-sensei, tonight's really important. I need to go clean up and everything, said Naruto. Who would have thought it would take a certain lavender-haired girl to get you to clean up, said Kakashi. Alright, you're all free to go. Let's meet here tomorrow at the usual time. For Team 7, the usual time was 9 a.m., but the three of them quickly learned that they had until at least 11 before Kakashi would show. Naruto dashed off, going to prepare himself for the night he had planned, growing ever more nervous as the time passed. Sasuke, well, seeing as Naruto is busy tonight, do you want to do anything? Sakura asked, trying to get her own date for tonight. Don't you have anything better to do? If you have time to bother me, then you certainly have time to train. I don't have time to waste on some hindrance, replied Sasuke, crushing Sakura's hopes. Sasuke, is that really what you think? I just hold you back, said Sakura as a few tears came to her eyes. Was all Sasuke said as he took off towards a separate training ground of his own. That Dobe has a date. Who would actually go out with him? Thought Sasuke as he halted halfway to the training ground he had staked out. He couldn't get the fact that Naruto of all people had a date tonight. Perhaps he would do a different type of training today as he altered his course back to the village. Sakura was busy dragging her feet through the village, depressed that she had been rejected yet again. Sakura found herself making her way towards Ino's flower shop. Despite her slight depression, she had agreed to meet with Ino so that they could wish Naruto the best of luck with his date. In other words, they were going to spy on him. Sensei, you won't believe it, but Naruto has a date tonight, said Kakashi. He was at the place where he usually went when he needed to talk about things on his mind, the Hero's Stone. It was here that he would talk to many of his deceased comrades and friends, such as his former teammates Obito and Rin, However, his attention was directed towards that of his sensei, the Yondaime Hokage. The surprising part is that his date is with the daughter of your teammate. That's right, Naruto somehow managed a date with the heiress of the Hyuga clan, Kakashi said. He took a deep breath. I wish you were here. I'm sure Naruto would have liked to have you see him off on a night like this. Don't worry though, I'll make sure he doesn't mess this one up. I'll see you later, sensei. Naruto took a deep breath as he exited the shower. He had made sure to scrub himself thoroughly with soap practically 3 times. He was becoming increasingly nervous as time passed. In truth, this was the first date he had ever had. In fact, this was the first true romantic event that had ever happened that he ever had time to think about. The K between him and Hinata a few weeks ago had just kind of happened. Tonight was different. He had plenty of time to think about tonight, and the more he did, the worse his nerves got. Finally, after a 5th scrub, he ran out of soap and proceeded to change into the suit that Iruka-sensei had helped him pick out. Something seemed off and he spent the next 10 minutes fiddling with the slightest detail on the suit and another 10 minutes fiddling with the tie. Iruka had practically beat into him how to tie a tie, and Naruto had done it perfectly, although it still didn't seem right. Looking over at the clock, he realized that he had to go. It was getting close to 6 o'clock and he still had to pick up flowers from Ino's shop before proceeding to pick up Hinata. Kit, stop it, you look just fine. Just don't act like too much of an idiot and you'll be fine, reassured Kurama, trying to get Naruto to stop worrying. Even Kurama was pulling for Naruto. One reason was that he actually wanted to see the kid happy. Second was the vixen with whom Naruto was supposed to be going out with. For some reason, despite being a 1,000-year-old demon who's been bitter after being imprisoned 100 years ago, he actually liked Hinata. Perhaps it was how she treated Naruto after knowing about his little secret all these years, or perhaps it was her talent in the kitchen. Geez, I've never been this nervous before. I'd almost rather stare down Orochimaru back in the forest of death, responded Naruto. Hey, did you ever have vixen of your own? Kurama was silent for a moment. I don't want to talk about that, Kit, the fox replied. Anyways, you should get going. Kurama's wasn't filled with much excitement. In fact, he sounded rather remorseful when responding to Naruto's question. Naruto, however, looked over at the clock and began freaking out. He only had 15 minutes to get to Ino's shop and over to Hinata's house. Gar, where is that barker? Said Ino as she and Sakura were waiting for Naruto to stop by before his date. They had hoped Naruto would stop by with a few minutes before he was supposed to meet up so they could check him over, but it was getting surprisingly close to the 6:15 time when Naruto was supposed to pick up Hinata. Suddenly, Naruto came bursting into the shop, panting just a little. There you are, what the hell is that? Shouted Sakura, pointing at Naruto's tie. I said no orange, you barker. Just drop it, Sakura, it's too late to fix it now. We are just going to have to hope the orange tie doesn't stick out too much, sighed Ino. She then proceeded to shove a bouquet of flowers in Naruto's hands. Here, you've got purple lilacs as the center flower, these symbolize first love. Then you have a ring of orchids surrounding them, which will tell her that you think she's beautiful. Finally, there are a few white roses. In every bouquet, you want roses, but you have to be careful which ones you use. Roses are a symbol for love, but if you give her red ones, then that could tell her you want more than just a nice date. These white ones symbolize purity as well, which should tell her that you want to love her, but you want to be honest and not try to push things. The entire explanation simply went in one ear and out the other as Ino pushed him out the shop with the flowers in his hand. Alright Sakura, you ready for this? Asked Ino. Sakura smiled and grabbed a camera. This was going to be fun. Not to mention, this was one of the first times in the past few years the two of them were not fighting over Sasuke. It felt nice being more of a friend with Ino than a rival. If there was one person in the village who was worse than Naruto when it came to nerves at this point, it was Hinata. I can't believe it. I'm finally going on a date with Naruto. I hope he likes how I look. I hope I don't disappoint him, she began worrying. Suddenly, a knock came on her door. Hinata-sama, are you ready? Called Neji from outside the door to her room. Naruto has just arrived. I'll be out in a minute, Hinata called out. Oh my, it's time, don't faint. Please don't faint. Hinata opened the door to meet her cousin, receiving a smile from him. En Neji Nisan, do il look alright. Hinata-sama, you look beautiful. Naruto is a lucky man to be spending the night with you, replied Neji, trying his best to calm his cousin's nerves. Now don't worry. I'm confident everything will go just fine. Naruto's doing everything possible and more for you to enjoy tonight. Just relax and everything will be fine. I have faith in you. Are you sure? Asked Hinata. I am. You'll be fine, replied Neji. Naruto was standing just outside the house with Hiashi standing next to him. Hiashi had just finished going over the ground rules with Naruto, including that Hinata would be home by 10:30 at the latest. Naruto's nerves were growing and then it happened. The door opened and she came outside. Naruto was left completely speechless as his attention was drawn towards Hinata. She was wearing a modest, straight-fitting dress that was white with lavender swirls making their way up the dress and a few flower petals dancing around the base of the dress that came down to just above her ankles. The sleeves were short, just extending past the shoulders. While the dress was modest, that doesn't mean it didn't show of Hinata's figure. And for a 12-year-old, she was already beginning to have a rather S-figure. Naruto couldn't believe it. Sure, he had seen her in something besides that bulky jacket, namely a loose-fitting, plain black t-shirt that she wore for training, but he never imagined this. Hinata saw that Naruto's complete attention was on her and she began to blush. En Naruto, do you like how il look? She asked. Hinata, Naruto struggled to find his words. Why you look, wow. Naruto's world went black as it was not his turn to faint. Thankfully, he was caught by Hiashi, who wouldn't have him soiling his new suit with dirt. Hiashi was doing everything in his power to ensure everything went well for Hinata and that nothing ruined the clan's image, which a dirtied suit jacket in a place such as the Flaming Leaf Inn would do. Naruto woke a few minutes later with Hinata looking down on him, smiling and blushing. She had gotten her answer when Naruto fainted. Hinata, said a slightly weary Naruto. En Naruto, she replied. The two of you should get going. It's nearly 6:20 and your reservation is for 6:30. You can't be late, said Hiashi. Naruto agreed with this and the new couple quickly found themselves at the gate being wished off by Neji, Hiashi, and Hanabi. While they walked away, Naruto had to deal with numerous whistles and comments coming from the voice in his head that he was desperately trying to silence. While he wouldn't push it too far tonight, Kurama was still going to have some fun. Oh my, is that really Hinata? I never imagined that's what she was hiding underneath that bulky jacket of hers, commented Sakura as she and Ino looked on from their hiding place. Ino couldn't help but silently agree with Sakura as she also stared on in amazement. It was a good thing they were hooking Hinata up with Naruto as they soon realized that Hinata actually had the looks and body to compete with them in the Sasuke department. When Naruto and Hinata got out of view, the pair of Kaneki moved to their next spot until they finally came to the Flaming Leaf Inn. Unfortunately, they couldn't get inside as they didn't have a reservation, so they took their station just outside a window that gave them a nice view at the table where Naruto and Hinata were being sat. Oh come on Naruto, whatever you do, please don't screw this up, said Sakura quietly. Sakura and Ino weren't the only ones there watching this first date unfold. At different viewing points around the restaurant, various shinobi that Naruto and Hinata knew very well took up their stations. Neji and Tenten had met up and were perched on a rooftop that gave them a view of the two. Neji didn't necessarily need a window to see through, but Tenten didn't have X-ray vision bestowed upon her by the Byakugan. Kakashi found his station and so did Kurenai. Hell, even Sasuke had come to get in some special, observational and information gathering, training. Chuji was with Shikamaru at yet another vantage point. Tsunade had finally figured out how to work Hiruzen's crystal ball and Shizune, Hiashi and Jiraiya were watching the couple from inside their office. And somehow, Haku had aligned his mirrors so that he and Zabuza would get a view at the show. In fact, the only people close to Naruto and Hinata who weren't watching were Kiba and Lee. Lee was still bedridden and didn't want to test Tsunade's patience and Kiba, well, he was still running for his life, hopefully, however, the screams had stopped a few hours ago. This meant that he had either been eaten or he was now too exhausted to scream. As the two of them approached their table, Naruto did as he was instructed by Neji and offered Hinata her seat before sitting down himself. So far so good. he had made it the first minute without managing to do something embarrassing or idiotic so far. The first few minutes were spent in silence, with both of them too nervous to say anything to each other. The waiter came around and introduced himself in warm manner, indicating to Naruto that there would be no problems from him tonight. In fact, the entire restaurant seemed to welcome Naruto rather warmly. The owners must have said something to the staff that changed their views on the blonde Jinchuriki. The first thing he asked for was what they wanted to drink. Unfortunately, both Naruto and Hinata were only 12, so the drink options were severely limited to pretty much water. Then came the appetizers. Had it not been for that sample menu and Neji's explanation on many of the items on the menu, Naruto would have had absolutely no idea what was there. However, because of Neji's explanations, Naruto already had an idea what he was going to order. For Naruto, his appetizer was an order of pork gyoza, a type of Japanese dumpling. Hinata on the other hand went with an order of one of her favorites, zenzai, sweet red bean soup. The time until their appetizers were served again was spent in silence, both of them most likely too nervous to say anything. Just before their appetizers arrived, Naruto and Hinata were asked to order their entries. Naruto ordered a fillet of white salmon, glazed with a miso honey sauce, while Hinata ordered the inn's kaiseki ryori, a seasoned assortment of vegetables and fish. Again, there was silence while the couple waited for their appetizers to arrive. "Come on, brat, just say something, anything," said Tsunade as she was observing their long and awkward silence through the crystal ball. "Hey Tsunade, now that you know how to work that thing, mind teaching me someday?" asked Jiraiya. Tsunade just shot him a glare. "And why would I show you when all you would do is use it to spy on the girl's bath at the hot springs?" Jiraiya flinched at Tsunade, assuming he would ever stoop to doing such a thing. Only a super pervert would think of abusing a crystal ball like that. Oh wait, he was a super pervert. Damn it, brat, if I knew this is what it took to get you to shut up, I would have had it done when we first met, swore Tsunade. The reactions around the rest of the stalkers surrounding the inn were the same. "Jeez kid, come on and say something. It doesn't matter what you say, but just say something. You're looking like an even bigger idiot by just sitting there than you ever would," said Kurama, trying to give his host a little push. "But I don't know what to say," argued Naruto. "Wow, that's a first. Anyways, you like the way she looks, right?" asked Kurama. Naruto nodded. "Then just compliment her. All you have to do is get talking and then things will get better." Naruto took a deep breath, deciding to take a dive. Hinata looked up as Naruto caught her attention. I don't know if I told you this, but, you look very beautiful tonight." "There you go, now just don't shut up again." "Eep," thought Hinata. "Why you do?" "Of course. Why would I ever think different?" replied Naruto. I don't know. Just why you never said anything," said Hinata. Now Naruto knew what Kurama was talking about. "Oh, it's just I'm not used to this sort of thing. You know, being in a fancy restaurant, with a beautiful girl." Hinata blushed slightly, hearing Naruto compliment her. "You're doing fine, so far," said Hinata. Naruto kind of took this the wrong way. "What do you mean by, so far?" questioned Naruto. Although this wasn't anything harsh, as Naruto was beginning to open up and figured he'd try playing around a little. It's just that you kind of have a habit to make things said Hinata, playing along. "Oh, not Yuta, it's hopeless," said Naruto, putting his head down. "But that's why I like you," said Hinata, perking Naruto up a little. "You always find a way to brighten things up and find the positive side of even the worst times." Naruto smiled at this. "Finally, I was beginning to think that Barker would actually manage to screw things up by simply not doing anything," commented Sakura. "Yeah, that would be a first for even Naruto," replied Ino. Finally their food arrived and the two eventually began to share the dinner between one another. Needless to say, they probably enjoyed each other's more, or at least the fact that the other was feeding them. The main entries followed shortly after their appetizers and dessert was offered to them last. Hinata had mentioned to Naruto that this restaurant was renowned for a different type of dessert known as cheesecake. Needless to say, Naruto was still in the mood for trying something different and 2s of cheesecake were ordered. When they arrived, Naruto quickly snatched up Hinata's s, actually causing her to protest a little. Apparently, When it comes to sweets, Hinata becomes much more open. Naruto would have to remember this for the future. Naruto, protested Hinata. Don't worry, you'll get it back, but piece by piece, said Naruto as he took a piece of dessert and fed a no longer complaining Hinata. Not bad, Naruto, thought Jiraiya as he observed the dinner through the crystal ball. Hey Tsunade, I think the kids got this. Why don't we change the station? Perhaps something with a little more exposure. Pervert, shouted Tsunade as she sent Jiraiya flying out of the office with a strong left hook to the side of his face. Wow, I'm impressed boss didn't do anything Naruto-ish yet, commented Konohamaru. Not to mention his date looks really pretty. Don't worry, Konohamaru, if it's a date you're looking for, there's another pretty Hyuga girl around your age, commented Shizune, earning a glare from Hiashi. Somehow, Kiba had managed to survive. He didn't know necessarily how, but he had somehow managed to survive, despite Anko taking on nearly another hour to his torment simply because he wasn't screaming loud enough. Bam! Suddenly, he was knocked unconscious by a flying pervert. Could this night get any worse for him? Oh yeah, it could. He could have been forced to observe Naruto and Hinata on the date. Finally, the dinner came to an end and Naruto was presented with the check. If it hadn't been for the fact that he was expecting the size of the bill, he probably would have had a heart attack or something along those lines. The total bill turned out to be around 5,000 ryo, remember that I am handling it as $1 equals 10 ryo. It would have been more, but for some reason the dessert was left off the bill. When Naruto asked the waiter, he was informed that first date couples receive a free dessert. And Naruto, are you sure you don't want me to pay for part of the dinner? Asked Hinata, catching a glimpse at the price tag on their meal. She had initially come prepared, already knowing how expensive this place was. Naruto realized what this was. Iruka had informed Naruto of a final test when taking a girl out for dinner and this was it. No, that's alright. Besides, you of all people should know that I've got plenty. Remember the trip to bring back Tsunade Sama? Naruto nearly let it slip. He was informed by Neji that referring to Tsunade as Barkin inside that establishment was a huge no-no. Hinata smiled. She was still a little regretful that Naruto was the one bearing the burden of paying, but she would just find some way to make up for it. Exiting the restaurant, a few of their observers had to readjust their hiding positions so they would not be seen. But thankfully, Naruto didn't notice them and Hinata had not activated her Byakugan. Had she done that, they would have been discovered instantly. It was starting to get late and the sun was beginning to set. It was then that Naruto remembered one thing he wanted to do. He grabbed Hinata and the two took off in the direction of the Hokage monument, coming to a stop on top of the Yondaim's head. Naruto used to come here a lot when he was back in the academy. For some reason, he found it a good place to sit and reflect. Of course, back then he would try to contemplate what was wrong with him or why the villagers hated him. This time, he just wanted to sit with Hinata and watch the sunset. They made it just in time as the sun began to slip beyond the horizon. The evening glow, illuminating Naruto, causing Hinata to stare and bask in the warm glow that was radiating from him. To her, this was still all a dream. Back in the academy, she had always fantasized about her and Naruto actually being together, but now that it was happening, she still couldn't believe it. No matter how much everything else was telling her that this was real, to her, this was all a dream, one that she thankfully wouldn't be waking up from anytime soon. They took a seat on top of the Yondaim's head and simply watched the sunset, Hinata still mesmerized by the glow radiating off of Naruto from the sunset. Naruto caught her gaze and his attention drifted to her. It was around this time that the moonlight was beginning to illuminate the coming night sky, taking the place of the sun. Like the sun with Naruto, the moon seemed to have a complementary effect with Hinata and a faint glow began to dance off of her. And then they did what just about any young couple would do in a situation like this, they was heard from all the female members of the audience that had gathered to watch the two young lovers on their first date. Thankfully for Ino, she had just enough film in her camera to snap the image of the two of them on top of the Hokage monument K. The men in the crowd didn't show it as much as the girls, but they were still glad that Naruto and Hinata had finally come together. Neji, are you crying? Asked Tented. No, I've just got something in my eye, replied Neji, with the typical response to said question. Inside the tower, Hiyashi had managed to keep his emotions masked like a proper Hoiga, but underneath he couldn't help but feel a mixture of happiness, hope, sadness, worry, and longing. He was happy because Hinata had finally gotten what she truly wanted. Hoping that this relationship would allow her to blossom into the shinobi that he had always hoped she would be. Sad when he realized Hinata was no longer the little girl and that she was beginning to grow up. Worry because of what the elders would do if they ever found out about this. Longing from the fact that he was the only parent alive of those two. He would give just about anything to share a moment like that again with his own wife, or sit back and have a laugh with Minato before they got beat by Kushina. It was getting late, pretty close to the 10:30 deadline that Hiyashi had put on the date. About an hour ago, Hinata had managed to fall asleep in his arms. He hated to wake her, seeing how peaceful she looked, but he knew that if he ever hoped to have a night like this again, he would have to get Hinata home on time. Don't move, he said to Hinata as she began to stir from his movement. Naruto picked her up bridal style and began to make his way to her home, hopping from rooftop to rooftop. Looking up at him, Hinata couldn't stop blushing. Where did Naruto learn to become romantic in a way? As for Naruto, spending an entire childhood without parents gets you wondering what your parents might have been like. Naruto would spend a lot of time observing younger couples, trying to get a feel for what his parents may have been like. When they stopped on top of one of the taller buildings, all it seemed like Hinata was missing was longer red hair, and this might have just as easily been a repeat scene from the previous generation. Sadly for Hinata, all good things have to come to an end as they approached the Hoiga compound. Naruto set Hinata down just out of sight so it wouldn't look like they hadn't been doing anything that Hiyashi might deem inappropriate. Hinata-sama, it's nice to see you tonight, said Ko as they met him at the gate to the compound. I hope everything went well. Hinata smiled, a blush still present on her face. Everything was wonderful. Thank you, Ko. And thank you, Naruto, for tonight. It was much more than I could ever have hoped for, she said, giving him a quick goodnight K. It was Naruto's turn to blush a little. Good night, Hinata-hime, he said. Hinata's blush darkened at what Naruto had just added onto her name. As Naruto finally left, Hinata finally lost it and she ended up fainting as Ko was forced to carry her into her house. Not bad, Kit. I never imagined you would actually pull it off, joked Kurama as Naruto arrived back at his apartment. Yeah, although I will say that was the best night I ever had, with the exception of the high society aspect. I could do without that, but Hinata seemed to be okay with it and it at least showed her father the better side of me, replied Naruto. I just don't want to have to go through the fancy, upscale setting anytime soon. Don't worry about that. I'm sure she won't care where you take her out to next. She would have liked it even if you just took her to get ramen. Then why didn't we just go get ramen? That would have been so much better, asked Naruto. Because of her father and where she comes from. Tonight was to show everyone that you could in fact treat her like a princess. Now that you've done that, it should be smooth sailing from here. Yeah, I hope so. I guess I didn't mind it too much, but going to a restaurant that fancy is not something I want to do every time, commented Naruto. The next morning, Hinata had somehow woke up full of energy as she left to meet with her team for their mission briefings. Last night had been just pure bliss. Despite it ending, she knew there would be more time with Naruto in the future, even if it wasn't on the same scale as last night. She could easily tell Naruto was not comfortable in that restaurant. To be honest, she wasn't comfortable either, at least not until Naruto began talking and playing with her a little. She would rather go to a ramen shop where Naruto is himself than to some fancy, upscale restaurant where Naruto spent half the night too nervous to do anything. Perhaps now that that is over, maybe we can just go on some more normal dates. Oh my, more dates with NN Naruto, eep. Thought Hinata, nearly losing conscious from that though. After a quick breakfast, she left the house, passing Neji and her father in the courtyard. They were getting in a quick spa before Neji had to report in as well. Soon, Neji left, leaving just Hiyashi in the house as Hanabi had been taken to the academy. Hiyashi, there is something we need to discuss, said Moriko as the three Hoiga elders approached him. It was this confrontation that Hiyashi had been dreading since last night. We need to discuss the activities of your daughter. Oh, and why do you feel the need to do that? Everything with Hinata is fine, replied Hiyashi. Are you absolutely sure? From what I've seen, she's been spending some time with an undesirable person, said Harabi. This caused a vein to bulge in Hayasai's head. And who might this undesirable person you are referring to be? You know very well who we are referring to, Hiyashi. It's that demon, Naruto Uzumaki, bursted Moriko. Hiyashi, we understand that Hinata is starting to get to that age, but perhaps you should be looking for a more desirable suitor than that thing, said Aro. While your concern is admirable, I see no reason to forbid my daughter from seeing Naruto. If your sight is even half as good as a normal person, you would see that Hinata's skills have developed considerably in the past few months, and I have reason to believe that Naruto is the main reason, said Hiyashi. Now see here. That thing is nothing but trouble. His heritage is unknown and he is not desirable for this clan. I don't even understand why you let him in here to train with Hinata in the first place, argued Aro. I have my reasons. Let's just say there is something about Naruto that has caught my attention. Unfortunately, I cannot say why as I am bound by law, but rest assured that my reason is perfectly acceptable. In fact, if I were you, I would start showing Naruto a little more respect, said Hiyashi. Hiyashi, perhaps we may have been a little hard on the boy in the past, but that still doesn't make up for what he is. He's nothing but a nuisance and a demon. If you will not distance the clan from him or prevent your daughter from seeing him, then we have no choice but to do what's best for the clan and seal her and eject her from the clan. Shouted Moriko. Damn, I didn't want to have to use this card just yet, thought Hiyashi. I don't see any of you in a position to make threats right now. First, it was agreed that you would not interfere with Hinata's life until she becomes of age. Second, it has come to my attention that a particular law has been broken when the three of you told my daughter about Naruto's secret. What? How did you? Responded Moriko. I was informed by Hinata and Jiraiya-sama. Regardless of your reasons or the outcome, the three of you broke the Sandaim's law, which may I add is punishable by either life imprisonment or death, when you took it upon yourselves to inform Hinata on Naruto's condition. I strongly recommend that you drop this issue if you ever see yourselves anywhere besides a damp prison cell, said Hiyashi. You wouldn't, said Aro. I would. That law is still in effect and all I have to do is go to the Hokage. As for proof, I'm sure Inoki would be able to find something that will convict you, and from your reactions, I'm positive he will. If you don't want to find yourselves in Ibiki's basement, I suggest you simply give up on this little ploy of yours, said Hiyashi. HMPH, very well. But if that demon does anything to dishonor this clan, it will be on your head. Also, your reason for allowing him to even associate with us had better be good. For your sake, I hope you realize sooner or later that that demon would be better off scoffed Moriko as the three elders left to contemplate their next scheme to try and manipulate the clan in their favor. Sensei, please hurry with that seal. I am doing everything I can to keep them at bay, but I am afraid that I may be running out of time. Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura, and Haku found themselves in the Hokage's office being assigned their latest mission. They were to escort Shibi back to the Waterfall Village. This was a rather simple mission. The Waterfall Village wasn't a significant village and didn't have many enemies. At most, Shibi had told them to expect nothing more than bandits and low genin level shinobi. Being the lone chunin on the team, Haku was assigned as team leader. The morning after Team 7 departed, Tsunade received an unexpected visit from the head of Konoha's lottery. Congratulations Tsunade-sama, it appears as if you've won our jackpot of 1 million Ryo. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.